Hey there, it's Val Schmidt, author of this book, 2-Week Brain Reset. I talk about curing anxiety and depression and kind of just mental wellness in general. My book's available on Amazon. I will link it below. But today I want to talk about, drumroll, social media and how bad it is for mental wellness. Not including YouTube. YouTube's fine. Watch my channel every day. But no, seriously though, I think that's a big part of the problem of why we have this anxiety and depression epidemic nowadays, between that and diet and all sorts of other stuff that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing. Social media is just wreaking havoc on our mental health in this modern day world. And it's even worse than that, it's addicting. And people, you reach for your phone hundreds of times a day, maybe not even realizing it. So I want to talk about why it's so bad for us, and hopefully that will motivate you to maybe cut down on it a little or do some kind of cleanse or something, because it's not helping you as much as it's hurting you. So the first reason that social media is bad is comparison. So one of my favorite phrases is, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's true, because if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, there's always going to be somebody that has something better than you. Whatever it is, there's somebody that has it better. And it's amplified on social media because everybody's posting their highlight reels. They're only posting good things about themselves. They're not posting that they're depressed or anxious. Maybe a couple people are, but most people, it's only the good things. And only if you look at somebody's vacation photos, especially if they have kids, everything looks wonderful. Disneyland's wonderful. This beach was wonderful. When really the reality is there's kids crying in the back seat. There's kids hungry. Somebody got hurt, this and that, but they're not posting that stuff. So you shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people to begin with, but when you're doing it on their social media, it makes things 10 times worse, and you're not going to be happy after you're done seeing that. So that's the one major reason that social media is bad for your mental wellness and your self-esteem and everything else. And then in that, fear of missing out, FOMO, is really bad on social media too, because you see people doing all these cool things. And especially when you're bombarded with it, it looks like you'll see a dozen different friends doing cool things, and you might just want to sit at home that night, and then you're like, well, I'm the loser sitting at home, when really what they posted might not even be the reality of what they experienced. Maybe they would rather be sitting at home that night too. I've personally seen people have a bad time at something, but then they'll post pictures and act like everything was wonderful. And I'm like, I know you didn't have that much fun there, or I know you argued with so-and-so there and you didn't have that great of a time. Why are you posting about it on social media like it was the greatest thing you've ever experienced? I don't know why we do any of this stuff. So fear of missing out is another reason why you should stay off social media. Cyberbullying is another huge reason. And if not bullying, just negativity in general is just rampant on social media. It's like people cannot wait to put down somebody else. Even in my local city page, it's people are so horrible to each other, when in reality, anywhere I go out in my small town, everybody's real nice to each other. But the second you get behind a computer screen, it just makes you want to be nasty for some reason. I don't know what it does to people. It makes them crazy. So that's a great reason to avoid it. It's just the negativity in general on any page. Even on news story comments, everything is just so negative. Even on ads, everything's negative. So anyways, we want to bring more positive. We want more of the best vibes, not the negativity. So we'll stay off social media because of that. Another reason is information overload. So back in the day, before these modern day lifestyles that we live, people would get all of their news either through word of mouth, actually physically talking to a person. And I'm talking way back in the day, like before phones. People would talk face to face, and that's how they would get the news about the town. Or maybe there was a newspaper they would read. That was it though. They weren't overloaded with news constantly, and not just news, but misinformation and disinformation. So there's too much of it. There's too much chatter, and that's why our brains are constantly reeling like this. There's too much chatter outside of them, and we bring it all in and we keep it all in there. And that's not good. We want to cleanse it out. So Stop reading the news all the time. Stop watching news stuff all the time. If you want to do it in small doses because you don't want to be completely left out of the world, that's fine. But really, it's there's too much of it. A more natural way to live is to not know what's going on in every corner of the world every 5 minutes. It's just not a natural way to live, and it's not good for your brain. So that's why a lot of us are anxious. Validation seeking is another one. So this ties into self-esteem and things like that, which is connected to your mental wellness. So have you, I don't know if anybody else has done this, but you post something and then you look back every like 2 minutes to see how many people liked it, who liked my post, and it's like, do you ever just sit back and go, oh my God, who cares who liked that post of me at the bar or whatever? We seek validation that it doesn't mean much. Like a like on a photo does not mean, in the grand scheme of things, does not mean much. And so it's not worth your mental health to constantly be going back, do they like me? Do they like me? It's just, it's too much. And again, unnatural way to live, right? So the whole point of my program, my book, my way of life is to get back to just a natural way for your brain to interact with the space around you. And social media is none of it's natural. Really, like we just shouldn't even be living that way. And I'm guilty too. I have a Facebook that I actually cut out Facebook for a long time. I was barely using it, and now I'm back on it. But I don't have an Instagram. I need to make one for my wellness stuff. I don't TikTok. I don't, what's the other one? Twitter. I don't have anything else. So like Facebook, I'm guilty of, but you might be guilty of having 4 or 5 different things. You might be guilty of sitting on TikTok for hours at a time. Very, very bad for your brain. Stop doing it. If you're anxious and you're watching me looking to get rid of your anxiety, stop scrolling for hours. Okay. And then the last thing, so speaking of scrolling, the constant scrolling and looking through posts and these 20-second TikTok videos or Facebook reels or what have you is also very, very bad for your brain, bad for your attention span, and bad for your dopamine release. So when you're doing that, when you see a post, you read it or you watch 10 seconds of a video, you're getting a dopamine hit. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, that feels good. I like reading that. I like experiencing that. Next. And then you do it again. Next, do it again. And you're getting these tiny bits of dopamine, and it trains your brain to only experience that little tiny bit of dopamine for 5 seconds. And then you can't experience overwhelming joy in the rest of your life. You can't experience kind of like a constant flow of happiness because you've trained your brain to experience happiness in a different way from an unnatural source, and that is not what we want. We want you to feel naturally happy from things that should actually be making you feel good, not some text on a screen or a 10-second video of a dog doing a backflip or whatever it is. Although, once in a while it's fine, but it's when you're scrolling for hours and hours. So another thing that I talk about a lot is training your brain and rewiring your brain. And so that's when you have trained your brain to get dopamine the wrong way. And so when you do a social media cleanse, and by cleanse, I mean get rid of all of it for a month or something, your brain luckily is very trainable, and it will train back to the way that it should be, and it will get happiness from other things. Your brain is capable of learning, no matter how old you are. It will learn to find dopamine elsewhere in better ways than on Facebook and TikTok and whatever else it may be. So those are all of the reasons that social media is bad. And I hope I've inspired you to at least maybe cut down a little bit or do a cleanse. If you've never done a social media cleanse, please do that. Just get rid of it for, I don't know, as much as you can. Do a week a month is great, but if you can just go a week without it and see how you feel. If you've never done it, or if you've ever talked to somebody who has done one, people have nothing but good things to say. Like, God, I felt so good without Facebook for that week. So it's the addictive part that keeps bringing us back to it, because it's like any other drug. It's addicting, and I understand that it's hard to break, but do yourself a favor and try to do it just for a little bit, at least like a week. And let me know how it goes. Comment below. I would love to hear about it. And if you've gotten any sort of help or information out of this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I plan to be posting every Friday. So yeah, that's about it, and I will see you next week. Thanks.